The recipe's in the event, but I will try to say all of this stuff kind of as it's happening. So we're going to start with 1 cup of natural peanut or almond butter. And I think you can use the supermarket variety as well. Probably any kind of peanut or almond butter is going to work here. So I happen to have natural peanut butter that I'm trying to get rid of. I'm just going to be honest, I really like the supermarket variety where I don't have to stir it. But I got a good deal on this, and also was just trying to have more shelf-stable food on hand. So I have this peanut butter. So I'm going to stir it just to kind of make sure that I'm getting the right ratio of oil to peanuts. If I just were to put in like just the bottom part, I don't know, I think it wouldn't turn out well. So just kind of getting this to all come together. I made these yesterday with almond butter, natural almond butter, and that was really good, really nice. Came together well. My concern with using natural nut butters is that because they are like all sorts of different, they separate. I get worried that they're not gonna stay together in the cookie, I guess. But so far in the test we've done of that in the peanut butter cookie episode, and then now in this, it seems like they're generally okay. All right, so happy with that. And you can actually start your pot warming just a little bit because we're going to drop this in. So I'm going to do this on like medium heat. We're just going to heat our first couple ingredients to get them sort of melt together. So that's 1 cup of peanut butter or almond butter, or if you have some other nut butter on hand that you want to try, like sunflower butter, I don't know, that's probably fine. I've never really worked with, well, mostly worked with peanut butter. I don't even buy almond butter that often, but yeah, I don't, if both peanut butter and almond butter work, I don't see any reason that a different kind of nut butter would be a problem. Okay, so that's a cup. I'm going to drop that in here, and then the next thing I'm going to get out is coconut oil. 1/2 cup of coconut oil. If you don't have coconut oil, people on the recipe posting were saying that they'd used all sorts of different oils, like canola oil or, I don't know, whatever. If canola works, then everything's going to work. So you could use coconut oil, you could use sunflower oil. I feel like probably anything is fine. But the coconut oil is kind of nice. That's what gives it that almond joy flavor, that like coconutty. You know, the flavor of coconut oil is nice. So it's good for this. All right, stop scraping. And then I need, again, like I said, 1/2 cup of coconut oil. I'm using Sprouts brand coconut oil because it was the most affordable. There's not really another reason beyond that. At Sprouts, it was the most affordable. I imagine if I were to go somewhere else, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just babbling. So there's a 1/2 cup of coconut oil, and coconut oil has an interesting melting point. Like it's like right around room temperature, so on warm days, it's melty, but like in the winter, it can be solid. And that may be part of the problem with these cookies as well, is that yeah, sure, 1/2 coconut oil, 1/2 butter. I think that's fine. The only thing that would be a little bit different about using butter is that butter actually has water in it, and coconut oil doesn't, but I don't think the small amount of water in the butter is going to make any difference in this recipe. But sometimes, like if recipes say like use butter, and people are like, can I use coconut oil? Like, well, you need to be aware that, you know, these are not quite the same thing. Okay, so I've got this on medium heat, and I'm just going to kind of stir this together. Oh, I'm stirring too hard. It's like flinging up towards me. I tried using a spatula for this, but because this is natural, there are like some lumps in it, and I think the whisk is better for breaking those up and kind of melting them into the coconut oil. And so this is actually the only part of this that we're going to heat up. So you can see like it's really not on the heat for very long. We're just going to warm this up until it's kind of all consistent, homogeneous. And then I will move on to the next step. So in the next step, I'm going to add some honey. So if you haven't already gotten your honey out, you want to get some honey out. I actually think that this would be better with sugar, and I say that because these are kind of melty, like they have to be stored in the fridge because they're so melty. And honey is a sweetener that is liquid at room temperature, and so I have to think that that's part of it. I want to try a test using sugar because I think since sugar is solid at room temperature, that if I were to use sugar, I might not have to store them in the fridge, or at least that they'd be a little bit firmer. But again, I didn't want to test all the stuff in front of you. It seems like that wasn't really fair. Okay, so here's this is half a cup of honey. I'm sure any kind of honey will work. I don't have feelings about raw honey or whatever. This is orange blossom honey, which is nice. It has a little bit of an orangey flavor, but that's not going to come through in this recipe with chocolate and peanut butter. We're not going to notice the orangey flavor. So yeah, it really, with so many other strong flavors going on, I don't think it matters what kind of honey you're using. I'm going to stir that together. And this shouldn't take long because honey is already a liquid. All right, so we've done peanut butter, coconut oil, and honey. If you want to use some vanilla extract, you can add some here. I don't really have any vanilla extract right now, so I'm not going to do that. The next thing is a cup of chocolate chips, or I'm using, this is baking chocolate. I get this from Sprouts. Gosh, Sprouts should pay me for this. I mean, it's fine if they don't. I'm just saying, I really like them. And so this is, again, this is off the heat. Chocolate is very delicate. It is easy to heat it up too much, so we're doing this not on the burner. This is just going to melt from the heat that's already in the coconut oil and the peanut butter. The recipe says, if it doesn't melt completely, if your chocolate's still in pieces, you can kind of put it on the burner again briefly, not turning on the burner, just put it back on, just to get them to melt. But it's such a warm day, and this is pretty warm, I don't think we're going to have any trouble. So I'm just going to keep stirring this until I don't see any more chunks. Wow, that's going fast. Okay, yeah, that's all smooth. I'm not seeing any other colors or any, a little closer. I mean, I can see the peanuts, you can see tiny bits of them because it wasn't completely smooth peanut butter, but I don't see anything else. Some of you know I like a little bit of salt in my baked goods. It balances nicely with the sweetener, sugar, so I'm going to put in about a half teaspoon. Kind of optional. Laura says Sprouts should sponsor you. I'm right? I really like their stuff. Not all of this is from Sprouts, but a good bit of it is from Sprouts, including, next step, so in the next step we're going to add 2.5 cups of quick cooking oats. So this is kind of the heart of this recipe. This is what's going to hold it, or gives it kind of its volume. So quick cooking oats are these small ones you can see where they've kind of taken a rolled oat and then chopped it up. You can use rolled oats. The recipe is very clear that that's possible. It's going to give it a little more of a chewy texture. So if you only have rolled oats, you can do that, or you can throw your rolled oats in the blender or food processor and just pulse it a couple times, and that will kind of break them up into this consistency. Optionally, you can add, the recipe says a cup of coarsely chopped almonds. I didn't want to use almonds because I'm using peanut butter, and that just seems I don't know, why would I use really expensive almonds in a peanut butter based thing? So I'm using, I can't actually really see this that well. I'm using, it's about 2/3 of a cup of peanuts because that's what I had, and then I'm using toasted sesame seeds for the rest of it. So anyway, cup of nuts, whatever kind of nuts you like. Chopped walnuts would probably work, chopped almonds would work. The other reason is that it took a really long time to toast some almonds yesterday. They weren't even really toasted after I left them in for a while, so I don't know, kind of not feeling that right now. And then I should have probably already done this, but then we're going to do 3 tablespoons of cocoa. And I think that just, it kind of boosts the chocolate flavor, and since it's a powder, I think it's going to help stabilize it a little bit, kind of make it a little more solid. So I'm kind of just trying to spread this out a little bit so that it doesn't clump too much. And that's 3. And I'm going to switch to a larger spatula because this little one's kind of not cutting it. Great. And then I'm going to just kind of work this until it all seems like it's kind of one consistency and I'm not seeing any bits or pieces of anything. Okay, so I feel pretty good about that. It's like it's all one consistency. So I'm going to set this aside for a second, not on my hot burner, just right here. I'm going to set it like away from that. Third time is the charm, Laura says. Yes, let's hope so. Okay. So, okay, good. Let's see. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of pick these up. I think this is like a tablespoon scoop, maybe a little bit larger than that. These are very dense. These are very heavy. Normally when we make cookies or bread, there's some sort of leavener in them. So there's like air in the cookie. There's no air in this. Like this is all like peanut butter and chocolate and oats. Like it's very, very packed dense, kind of with like nutrients, which is good, but also like you might not want to eat up a lot at a time. So I'm going to drop these kind of small, and I can drop them as close together as I want because we're not baking them, so they're not going to spread out. So I'm going to just kind of go through and drop them, and then I might go back with a spoon and sort of like make them into prettier shapes after. And you can eat this anytime you want. I mean, just make sure you're not going to burn yourself, but there's no egg in it, so this is safe to eat anytime you want. Although I do think that they're really good once they're cool. Kind of refreshing at that point. So yeah, so this is all there is to that, is that we heated some coconut oil and peanut butter, and then we stirred everything else in. And then I'm just going to drop it on here and put it in the fridge until it's completely, completely cool. Only recommend taking them out of the fridge if you have a plan for them, like if you're going to eat them that moment or if you're taking them to friends. And even if you're taking them to friends, I might take a cooler because they really are very soft. I'm going to go back in with a spoon now. Oh, Jeremy, hello. Good to virtually see you. Some of you know I work for Wycliffe Bible Translators, and so I have colleagues who've gone to Papua New Guinea, where like some of them have worked out in villages where they wouldn't have an oven, and so they would kind of make these as like some way to have a cookie. Although I think their version probably didn't have chocolate in it. I think it uses just cocoa and sugar and peanut butter or something like that. But anyway, these are like a nice thing if you were in an apartment in New York with like a tiny kitchen that only had a stove or something. You can make these. But I will show you the ones I made yesterday so that at least you can see the promised land. So I made them a little bit bigger yesterday because I kind of like wasn't thinking about the fact that they're basically chocolate candy. So yeah, you can see like it is firm at this point. You know, it broke when I snapped it. Oh, pretty good. That's it for today. That's all. How long did that take? That took like half an hour, but most of that was because the stream kept dropping. So basically, you can have these cookies all done in 30 minutes or less. Um, I probably shouldn't have taken a bite, but it's really good. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will put up a poll for next week to see what y'all want to make. Yeah, have a great weekend.